Let's learn about the surface area of cylinders, cones, and spheres. So we'll go through the formulas for each and then do some examples. Let's get ready. You're going to need notes, a pencil, and a calculator. And what do you notice about these? So they are drawn as three-dimensional, and I'm hoping that you can see they each kind of involve circles. So that's why I put all of these together, because we have the circles. So our first one is called a cylinder, and then we have a cone, and we have a sphere. So these are the ones that we're going to study today. So let's just review circles because they all use circles. Remember that the whole distance across is called the diameter, but half the distance is called the radius. And remember that radius can move, doesn't always just have to be out to the side. Those are all radii. We can find the distance all the way around, and that's called the circumference. We are going to need that. And you can find the circumference by 2 pi r, 2 times the radius times pi, or because 2 times r is the diameter, you could do pi d. So either one of those will work. So let's think about the cylinder, and let's technically unwrap it. So I can see that I have a circle on the top and a circle on the bottom. And if we think about this as a soup can and I literally unwrap it, I'm going to pull this middle piece out, and it ends up being a rectangle. And then I'd have the circle here and a circle here. This thing that I just drew is called a net. So if I'm trying to find the surface area, that means I want the area of all these shapes. So I have two circles, which we can find. We know the area of a circle is pi r squared, and I have two of them. So we're going to say 2 pi r squareds. So those will count for my circles. But then we have to figure out this rectangle. So we talk about the height of a cylinder as the distance between the two circles, or the two bases. Remember that it can be laying down, and then it's still the height there. So we'll have that height, and that will be this height, which is the height of the rectangle. So now we need to figure out this distance. And where this distance comes from is all the way around the circle. So that is the circumference. So this is my circumference, which we just said was 2 pi r. So if I look at this rectangle, the area of just this rectangle is 2 pi r times the height. So we're going to put both of those things together. It looks a little scary, but it just comes from 2 circles and then the circumference times the height. So thinking about that, we have 2 circles plus 1 LA. And what I did with LA is the lateral area. Lateral means side, so it's the side all the way around. And that looks like this: 2 circles, 2 pi r squared, and then my circumference, which is 2 pi r times the height. So let's see how that's going to work in a problem. Find the surface area of a cylinder with a radius of 23, so that's halfway across. We have the radius, and a height of 14. And that's all that I need, because notice my formula has an r, another r, and an h, so we're good to go. So we have the surface area equals 2 of my circles, so that's pi radius squared, which is 23 squared, plus 2 times pi times my radius, which is 23, times my height is 14. Now when we work with circles, we're always going to have pi in there, and I'm going to just ask you to keep pi until the very end. Don't do it too early, then you've got decimals, and you'll see how this works. So I can do 2 times 23 squared, and I'm going to get 2048 pi. Just keep the pi with it. And then I'm going to do the 2, the 23, and the 14, multiply all those together, and I get 644 with a pi. They both have pi, so we can combine like terms. So you're adding those two numbers together to get 2,692 pi. That is actually your exact answer. But if you want to see what the number is when you multiply it by pi, you can hit your pi button and round to 1 decimal, and that's about 3.14. So we've got 8,457.2. We have centimeters for our unit, so I'm going to square those because this is surface area. Centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. Let's look at the surface area of a cone. Now this is a little weird to unwrap it. Maybe if you think of having a little slushy in one of those cone things and you unwrap it like that. So we do have a circle. So we have one circle, which will be pi r squared. And if I think about the net again, I have this, and then I have kind of that when I unwrap it. This piece comes from the circumference of this. This slant is our slant height. We saw that in the other video. And you need to differentiate that from the perpendicular height. So you have the perpendicular height that comes straight down the middle, and then you have the slant height that's slanted down there. So our formula, when we put it together, we've got one circle. There's my circle. And then we have pi r l. L is our slant height. And we're going to add those together, both again with pi. So find the surface area of a cone with a radius of 6 and a height. Now that's just a regular height. That's my perpendicular height down the middle. It's not my slant height, and I need my slant height for the equation. So I need to find the slant height first. Well, since I dropped that height, that's a right angle there, I can do the Pythagorean theorem. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. And then we have 36 plus 64. That's going to total 100. And when you take the square root of that, you get 10. So my slant height is 10, and that's what I'm going to use in my formula. So my surface area is pi times my radius squared, so 6 squared, plus pi times my radius, which is 6, times my slant height, which is 10. And now we're going to simplify. So 6 squared is 36 pi. 6 times 10 is 60 pi. I'm going to add those together to combine like terms for 96 pi. And then last step, you can multiply that in, and we get 301.6 inches squared for the surface area of that cone. And we have our sphere. So the formula for the sphere, it's like a circle, pi r squared, but it also has the 4 there. So it's 4 pi r squared. Let's find the surface area of a sphere with a diameter of 8. So the diameter goes all the way across, so our radius is 4. So make sure you're using your radius of 4. And our surface area is 4 pi radius, which is also 4 squared. So that comes out to be 4 times 4 times 4. 4 cubed is 64 pi. And then when you hit the pi button, you get 201.1 centimeters squared for the surface area of that sphere. So there's your formulas. You'll have the formulas on the quiz. You just need to know how to use them. They all involve circles, so they all have pi. Nice job.